Hey, this is Paul from G-Shocker, and today I'm reviewing the Traser P99 Iris. Now this is a watch I've been excited to get my hands on since it was first announced. It's a tactical quartz watch from Traser's P99 lineup, but it's quite different from anything else in the range. I've always found something odd about tactical watches that use Trigalight or Tritium. They glow constantly, so the question is, what do you do when you don't want to be seen? Now the Iris attempts to solve that problem. Traser's patented Iris diaphragm lets the wearer go fully covert in under a second. And for the rest of us, it means not lighting up a cinema, a bedroom, or seriously annoying whoever may be sitting next to us. Though in all seriousness, Trigalight isn't glaringly bright, and I'd say it hits the sweet spot for lume. If you're not familiar with Traser, they're a Swiss watchmaker owned by MB Microtech. And MB Microtech are the company behind Trigalight, the self-powered tritium tubes also used by brands like Luminox and Knight. So you might say that Traser are the OG. Back in the 1980s, MB Microtech developed Trigalight technology, which later led to the request from the US government to design a watch suitable for military use, and that's how Traser was born. I always like to know why a brand exists. It gives context to the design decisions that you see on the wrist. Right, let's get to the watch itself. So the case is stainless steel finished in a matte black PVD coating, which adds a real premium feel. It feels almost like it's made from enamel. You've got raised tabs at the cardinal point on the bezel, which make it easy to grip, and the Iris mechanism itself feels excellent. It's smooth, controlled, and feels very deliberate. We've got a screw down crown and a solid threaded case back. Externally, there's no lume at all, which makes sense because otherwise the Iris would be completely pointless. Everything about the exterior is intentionally low key. There's no getting away from it. This is a large watch, but if you're into G-Shocks like I am, it won't feel extreme. The case measures 46mm across, and the thickness comes in at about 16.5mm, which is understandable given the Iris mechanism. The lug width is 22mm with a lug-to-lug of 54mm, and without a strap it weighs around 112 grams. And interestingly, despite the numbers, it wears slightly smaller than you might expect. I think the vertical case profile helps here. That said, there's no getting away from it. This is a large watch. It has real presence, and compared to the other P99 models, it does wear noticeably larger. So Traser lists the movement simply as a Swiss-made quartz, but reading around and considering the extra weight of the hands due to the Trigalight tubes, I believe it's powered by the Ronda 517. Personally, I'd urge brands to list the movement on the website along every watch. The movement's important to many of us, and the omission just opens questions that probably don't need to exist. So the accuracy of this movement is quoted at around plus minus 10 to 20 seconds per month, which is absolutely fine for a watch like this, and the battery life is roughly 4 years. Water resistance is rated at 100 meters, and that's lower than some other P99 models, but in real world terms it's absolutely fine for swimming, showering, but it isn't a dive watch. And given that it's a field watch rather than a dive watch, I think 100 meters is perfectly reasonable. The dial itself is matte black, and a day and date window at 3 o'clock. Personally, I'm glad the day window is included. For me, it's genuinely useful on a daily basis, but I know it's not to everybody's taste. And because the Iris sits beneath the bezel, the dial is set quite deep within the case. That recessed look won't be for everybody, but personally I think it adds character and helps the watch stand apart. All hands and markers use Traser's Trigalight tritium tubes, which glow continuously for up to 20 years. The orange Trigalight is used on the 2nd and 12 o'clock marker, whereas green is used everywhere else, including 2 small tubes either side of the Traser logo. And then we've got the Iris itself. When closed, it physically blocks all lume. The watch goes completely dark, and that is brilliant for covert use, but it does mean that you can't read the time unless the Iris is open. But the good news is, opening and closing takes less than a second. The P99 Iris is available on 3 straps. The one we have here, which is the black rubber strap, it tapers from 22 to 20mm and uses a thick traditional buckle. You can also choose between 2 NATO straps, one black and one urban camouflage, but personally, given how tall the watch already is, I prefer the rubber strap. NATOs add height, and this watch already sits fairly high on the wrist. Right, let's get to pricing. The pricing is around £800 on the rubber strap, with the NATO versions coming in slightly cheaper. This model is limited to 300 pieces worldwide, which for me personally is a big plus because I feel kind of special when I'm wearing it. If you are considering a purchase, you can use the code GSHOCKER20 for 20% off on Traser's website. This code should work on all of the watches. And although the site states no UK delivery, Traser have confirmed that if you email them, they'll arrange shipping. Now, do I think this watch offers good value for money? Yes and no. At this price, I would have probably liked to see a solar-powered movement and a titanium case. but I suspect the R&D costs of a watch like this were astronomical, but from a buyer's perspective, those additions would strengthen the value proposition without question. The only real criticism that I have of this watch is that the strap is very rubbery, and the high friction means it can be awkward to thread through the keepers. It also attracts lint and dust, which for me personally is annoying because when I'm trying to photograph it, every tiny little bit of dust shows up. A slightly less sticky rubber compound would be an improvement. All in all, Traser's P99 Iris is a solid, well-engineered watch, and I can't help but like it a lot. It's the kind of watch that sparks conversation, and I'm always drawn to designs that try something genuinely new. If you are a fan of tactical watches, value originality, mechanical interaction, and thoughtful engineering, then maybe this watch makes sense. Whether that originality justifies the price will come down to personal preference. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a like and consider subscribing. Until the next one.